Hey, everybody. Wanted to go back and revisit a topic again on pricing. So, in my experience, there seems to be basically two camps of photographers who are being paid. You've got the one camp where their margins are really low, and you got the other camp where their margins are not, where they have some uh, breathing room, and it's easier for those people to make a living at photography because they're not burning themselves out shooting as often. To me, a wedding photographer, especially if they're doing a lot of retouching, does not fall into the latter category. And I know a lot of people will say, well, look at what a wedding photographer charges. Yeah, think about how much time goes into the work after the wedding, right? So I did a wedding, showed up at, it was a friend's wedding, got her getting ready. I did not ride over in the limousine. Got her getting married, got pictures of the reception, got pictures of them when they went off in the limousine again to go for a group ride. Again, didn't accompany them. And then it was all film. For that event, I went through, I believe I had shot about 20 rolls of film. All right. Then I have to wait for it to come back. I got to figure out which ones I want prints of, etc., etc. And gave her a stack of photographs. Again, wasn't getting paid for this. It was a friend of mine, so I did it right. But think about that from a normal wedding. Now we have digital, which is great because we don't have all the expense of the film processing, etc. We do have to have prints made still, but we don't have to get the films processed. It's easier for us to throw it away. You don't possibly miss something because you're swapping out the roll of film in your camera. So it changes the landscape of being able to shoot digitally. However, you still have to retouch the pictures, especially if you shoot like I do in RAW. Every one of those photographs is going to need to be retouched. You're going to have to do something to every photograph that you want to use. In addition to that, if you really want to make these things pop, then you're going to be doing retouching on the people themselves, especially the bride and groom, even if you ignore the rest of the wedding party and just focus on making the bride and groom look good, facial retouching, making them pop out of the image a little bit better. And that's pretty simple. If you've got a flat wedding photograph, right? You've got everybody in a line. You got the bridesmaids, you got the groomsmen, you got the bride and groom, and they're all together. You can separate them out just by going around the outside of their bodies with a little bit darker, right? So that they pop out of the picture a little bit more. That's a very simple retouch. There's more retouches that you do with their eyes and their faces, etc. So even at a base group photograph, there's some retouching you can do. And if you take into account all of the time that's associated with that, it's a lot of time. And a photographer trying to make a living at it, you can't shoot another wedding while you're doing all the retouching. And then after you get the retouching done and you put the album together, or you get the photographs aligned so that the client can sign off on the photographs so you can put an album together, you're not shooting for a while. So you have to charge higher. Then you get the people on the other end of the spectrum that do completely the opposite, where they're shooting inexpensively because they want everybody to have photographs, which is great. I applaud that. But in order to do that as a professional photographer, you're shooting a lot and you're not doing any retouching. You're not doing your clients any service by doing it that way. You're basically shooting them and kicking the photographs right out the door. And of course, the other end of the spectrum is, especially when you're talking a boudoir photographer, where the prices are higher because it is a very, I won't say niche environment, but you're going to be putting together an album. you're going to be, you might have hair and makeup on site so that they can get touched up as needed during the shoot. You've got to have an area that you can shoot in. Obviously, you're not shooting a boudoir shot outside typically, not without some kind of tent or protection around it so that people aren't stopping to gawk. So there's a lot more to that. And you've got the retouching to it as well. Again, maybe as much as with a wedding, depending on how much retouching you do in the wedding itself. Again, if you're shooting a wedding and you want to make sure that the bride and groom's parents look the best they can, you're going to expand what you're going to retouch and how many people you're going to retouch. Whereas boudoir, you're just dealing with the one subject that you've got. So your margin can be a little bit more on the buffer side, if you will. You've got more money coming in than the time that was going out. So you're getting paid, if you were looking at hourly, a good hourly rate to do that. Whereas the other ones, not so much. It's a much lower margin. And the reason I want to bring all this stuff up this year is everything is going up. It was going up last year. It's going to go up this year. And from the looks of it, it could be going up for the next 2 years. Part of it's going to be based on gasoline. We get everything via gasoline, including gasoline, right? The trucks that deliver your gas use gas. So every time that any of these prices go up on gasoline, everything across the board goes up because all the transportation costs of getting it from the manufacturer to you go up. If fuel costs go up, electricity costs could go up. Now the store you're getting it from has to charge you more because they're paying more, either in rent to another organization, or they're paying more themselves in all of the expenses for electricity. So that means wherever you get your photographs printed, that may be going up. You're getting albums done, that may be going up. With all the tariffs in place, who knows if you are buying an album from a foreign nation, are they going to end up having to put a tariff on the stupid thing, right? It used to be there was, I think it was a $700 limit. Everything under $700 was tariff-free regardless. Now the idiots in D.C., well, the one big idiot, decided, no, we're going to tariff everything because he doesn't understand any economics or finance whatsoever. And that means that when we get a book printed, if that book is coming from a foreign country, we could end up having to pay even more for it because of the stupid tariffs that were put in place. Now, if you're on the low end, you're probably not worried about books and things like that. You're either got your own printers or things that you're doing to print up these photographs, or you've got a local shop that you're using. So either the local shop's going to end up charging more, or if you got printers that you're using yourself, you're paying more for the electricity, and who knows what you're going to have to pay for the inks, right? Because with all the different things going on and how things are manufactured, the plastics that go into the inks, some of it's petroleum based. Where is that all going to level out? We don't know. So what you have to do is you have to plan for it, which means you're going to have to go through and change your pricing. I don't care which end of the spectrum you're on. Maybe if you've got enough money coming in, you've got a cushion in there. You don't have to worry about it immediately. But, if you're a boudoir photographer who doesn't have their own studio, or even if you do, you're going to have to pay more for the studio, but you're renting hotel rooms or things like that to do the shoots, that could start going up. Your travel expenses to and from places are going to go up. We have a bunch of things that are going to be hitting us, and if we haven't built enough padding into the prices that we charge, not only is it going to eat into that padding and mean that we have to do more work to keep even with where we were, it also means that the people that we're taking the photographs of have less to spend, right? They've got expenses too. So it's for us a bad cycle right now. Every consumer that would purchase the photographs from us is paying more, so they have less expendable expenses, right? They have less disposable income, I believe is the term they like to use, which is ridiculous because I don't think anybody has disposable income unless you're in the 1%. So they have less that they can spend on stuff like this. And we have to charge more. So it's a cycle that's going to feed on itself. Our prices have to go up, which means less people can afford us with everything going on, and that means less work for us. And so it's just a snake eating its own tail. It's just one of those cycles that's going to be tough for us this year. Think about weddings, right? How many people are going to be able to afford to have a wedding, let alone pay for a professional photographer plus the band and all that goes with it? That's a big expense. So my point here is to go back over your pricing. You're probably going to have to go over your pricing multiple times this year. And I know some photographers hate to go over their pricing, but you got to look at it. You've got to take the time to figure out what your margins are. And I know that can be a scary term for people, but actually go through your photo shoots and take a look at how many hours you spend on that, and then look at what you're bringing in. All right. Then from there, what are your expenses? Right. We can get esoteric and talk about wear and tear on the camera. So you put pieces of that, and we'll put that aside for right now. What are your expenses? If you had to travel there, what was your cost to drive? And you can use I would kind of use a bit of a hybrid here, but you could just go with what the federal government considers to be a reasonable fee. Now, I don't know if they've updated it based off of the new fuel prices, but what would be a reasonable reimbursement fee that you could take on your taxes? Number's easy to find out. The IRS has it. And just look it up on their site. You'll be able to see that whatever it is, 50 cents a mile or whatever it comes out to be. Use those numbers so you have a good baseline for how long you traveled, how much it cost you to travel. Then, is there any other expense that you had for the photo shoot? If you had the photographs printed, what did it cost you? If you did it yourself, what did the inks cost you? So that's a separate number, but that comes off the top. So if you got paid $200 and you drove a couple of hours out and a couple hours back, so you're talking, let's say, 100 miles each way, right? We'll keep it simple. So that's $200. We'll say 50 cents, right? So that's $100 worth of fuel expense. If you got the photos printed at a professional shop, let's say you've got another $100 or so in there, depending on the size of the shoot, obviously. So you're $200 in. What did you charge? If you charged $250 for the shoot, you got $50 left. If it took you 2 hours to get it done, you're down to $25 an hour. If it took you 3 hours to get all of that done, and when I say all of it, it includes that travel time, all right? You took the fuel costs off, but if you took 2 hours, an hour out and an hour back, let's say for travel, that comes off the top. That's time that you can't make money. So you've already got 2 hours into it. You're down to $50. You made nothing. It looked good, right? You got money coming in, and you don't see all the expenses immediately, like how much your time was worth or what the fuel costs were going to be necessarily. But it went out the door. So let's say you're doing a bigger shoot and you're charging $500. All right, you're already $200 in the hole. You got $300 left. That $300 has to account for your travel time out and back, right? So if you were getting $100 an hour, you got $300. $100 to travel out, $100 to travel back. You've got 1 hour that you can spend to get all those photographs done and get them approved by the client and get them printed and get them presented, right? That's an awful lot of stuff to get done in an hour. So keep that in mind, because, and some people say, well, I don't charge travel. You can't take photographs if you're traveling. So that travel time is your time. If you were shooting and you wanted $100 an hour shooting, that travel time is $100 an hour. If you're shooting and you want $50 an hour, that's $50 per each one way that you traveled. You have to build that into your pricing, because otherwise at the end of the year, you're going to look around and you're going to say, why am I scrambling to get more clients because they don't have any money? Because you didn't take into account all the other expenses. If you take your camera in, and this is the more esoteric stuff, your camera in to be adjusted, to be cleaned, you wear and tear on the camera. Each time you use that camera, something gets used and gets worn a little bit more, be it the camera itself, like the shutter, be it the cards that you're using. And if you've used CF Express cards, those get hot. And after a certain point, they're going to degrade from being so hot, both from when they're in their camera and when you're putting it in to get it into your computer. High-speed digital devices heat up quickly, and a lot of them don't have a great way to dissipate the heat, right? They're small. They want to be thin so they can go in your camera. They don't have a way to dissipate the heat. Most of the stuff they're going to plug them into on your computer doesn't have a fan system built into it that's going to say, okay, well, I've got this card in here. I'm going to turn on a little internal fan to blow across it to keep it cool while it's being utilized. I just did a bunch of USB drives that I had burned for another project, non-photo related, and I had to put a fan on there because the 16-port hub, not only was the hub heating up from the speed of these things, each one of those drives was heating up. I had to put an external fan on to keep everything cool. So these are the types of things that you know, but you don't. And you don't know it because you haven't gone down and actually put money on everything, including and most importantly, your time. So it's time to go back. It's time to take a look at everything that you've set up for pricing and revisit it and see where the adjustments have to be made. And again, you're probably going to have to do this a couple of times this year and maybe next year and maybe the year after. Hopefully not, but we'll see how things go. But that's what I got for you guys this week. Get out there, pay attention to your pricing. Doing your pricing, doing your books, that's part of your time as well. So always remember to account for everything that your business requires of you and what you want your rate to be. And I'll talk to you all next week.